So thank you for tuning in. If you saw part one of this video, I'm sure you got a lot out of it. I hope you got a lot out of it. So on that same note, I want to continue on the same theme. I want to continue with part two. Marriage is huge on our hearts, and nobody prepares you for this crazy journey called marriage. And so my wife and I, we've been married for close to, let me count and get this right, 12 years, or is it 13? I'm just kidding. But yes, it's been one roller coaster ride, and on this journey, we've learned a lot of things the hard way. And so one of our passions, one of our burdens, or one of our, some of the things that we are super intentional about is making sure that others who are newly married or going to be married don't have to learn the lessons the hard way like we did. So I just want to recap a bit on our journey, but before I do that, it doesn't matter whether you're single, it doesn't matter whether you're married or not. This is something that, a good question that you may want to ask yourself. If you take a look at the slides, I'm just going to go through a couple of slides behind me, and so just to give you some food for thought as we are on this subject. So if you take a look at your bank account, and no, I'm not talking about the financial bank, I'm talking about something else. What does your love bank look like? So it doesn't matter how long you've been on this planet. If you've been on this planet for any length of time, a few decades, whether 20 years or more, you know that relationships are not easy, and that can be a friendship, it can be relationships with your parents, it can be relationships with your siblings, it can be relationships with your colleagues. No relationship is easy. Relationships are hard work, and relationships demand time, demand commitment, demand cultivation. And so on that note, I want to ask you this question: how is your love bank looking? Is your love bank empty? And if I can be very frank with you, my wife and I, when we first got married, we heard the nice music and the songs on the wedding day, and we thought we were going to live happily ever after. And 1 year after, my wife and I walked out of our wedding day, well, we both lost our jobs. And we spent an entire year, more than a year, both she and I without jobs. And that put a huge financial strain on us. Looking back, it was the worst year of our lives. But now I realize that it was such a blessing because it made our relationship stronger. You really discover who you are really on the inside when you go through a tough season like that. And so literally our bank accounts were almost empty, were running on empty. But then the question then was, what about our love banks? I would like to say this, and this may surprise you, that though our bank accounts were diminished, the amounts in our accounts were diminishing, though our bank accounts were running dry, our love tanks were overflowing in a way that I cannot even begin to describe. And this is where I want to give you the key. How? Why? Why am I saying that? Why am I saying that when our bank accounts were diminishing, when our bank accounts were running dry, when we didn't even have necessarily even a roof over our heads, how am I saying that our love tanks were overflowing? And that's something I want to talk about. It doesn't matter what you're going through, it is still possible to flow and for your relationships around you to thrive. You look at the millionaires on the planet, look at the billionaires. Over the last few years, you've had everyone from Jeff Bezos to Bill Gates and many more who have gone through divorces, right? So what does that tell you? The money is not a solution, right? You can have $1 million or $1 billion. That's not the solution for life's problems. If it was, then the billionaires would be the happiest people on the planet. If it was, then the billionaires would not have had any issues in their relationships or in their marriages. And so I want to take you on this journey with me. Hang with me for a moment. And yes,